Okay, so now that we know what the notes are in music, the notes that we're looking for, which we covered in our last video, if you're not seeing this on our website and you're just on YouTube, jump onto our website, groundbreakcreative.com. It'll just give you all these lessons in order. They're still YouTube videos, they're still free. It just makes it easier to go through them. Okay, so now we know those notes. Now we're going to look at how they fit on the neck of the bass guitar. Okay, so to start with, we have our open string notes. So looking at this picture, this is looking at the guitar front on. Okay, this is the top where the head of the guitar is with all the tuning pegs on it. Okay, and down here further is where the body, the bigger part of the guitar goes. Okay, so this picture only comes down to the 12th fret. There's a reason for that we'll get to shortly. So I'll make this available for download, this picture, as well as this picture here. They will both be available for download underneath this video. So you can download this one and the other one. You can print them off, whatever you want to do. If you're not able to do that, then I encourage you to draw this one, okay? So that we can start to fill in what these notes are. It's the best way to learn them and to remember them. Okay, so what we do is we start with our open string E, A, D, G. That's an important one to remember because one, we can utilize those notes, but also we're going to need it for tuning. Okay, so E, A, D, G. Now a lot of people make up sayings for stuff and that sort of thing, but I don't for this, just because it's easy to remember. We'll do that with some of our theory stuff to make that easier to remember because it's more complicated, but E, A, D, G, really it's just 4 letters. I'd just remember them like that. Otherwise, if you want to, you can make something up like Eric ate Domino's greedily or something. Random things in the top of my head. Okay, but anyway, once we know those, we can start working out the rest of these. So that's really what I want to teach you, is how to work out where notes are. So this one here being our lowest string, and by lowest I mean lowest in tone. That's the big fat string that sits closest to you when you're holding the bass guitar. So that starts at an E. So on our note circle here we go E, F, no sharp or flat in between, E, F, F sharp, G, G sharp, A, B flat, B, C, no sharp or flat in between those two, C sharp, D, E flat, E. So now we just translate that over to here. So E, our next note, no sharp or flat, is F. And then we go F sharp, G, G sharp, A, B flat, B, C, no sharp or flat, C sharp, D, E flat, E. So you'll notice here you end up back on E because that is a full octave up to the 12th fret. That's where the double dots are on the neck. So once we go past there, this pattern just repeats itself again. Okay, so that's the reason we only go to the 12th fret here. And then we just repeat that on the A string. So A, B flat, B, C, C sharp, D, E flat, E, F, F sharp, G, G sharp, A. And we do that down here. B flat, B, C, C sharp, D, E flat, E, F, no sharp or flat, F sharp, G, G sharp or A flat, A. Okay, so making sure that you get the same notes down here as you've got up here is a good way to make sure you haven't missed a step or anything like that, or put an extra step in along the way. So it pays to do this in pencil first and then fill it in with pen later on, once you know you've got it right and you've got the same thing here as you do here. So remembering that when we sharpen or flatten a note, so when we sharpen we come up the neck, which I know that looks backwards on this picture because that we're actually going down. But when we talk about going up the neck, we talk about going up in tones or pitch of the note. Okay, so coming up the neck one semitone, which is the space from one fret to the next, okay, that sharpens a note. To flatten the note, we take it down one semitone, making it lower, okay? So if a semitone is from one fret to the next, then a full tone misses out one fret. It's twice as much, okay? So what we want to do with this is we really want to focus on some certain points, such as where these dots are. So these dots are placed on the neck as reference points. You have one at 3rd fret, one at 5th fret, one at 7th, one at 9th, one at 12th. Your bass guitar may be missing this one at 3rd. Some of them do, but most of them do have one there. So they're literally there as quick reference points. You'll also notice that they're put on the edge of the neck here, so when you're holding the bass, you can see them when you're looking down at the neck. Okay, so using those as reference points, we want to focus starting with the top 2 strings on what these notes are. So, for example, this is a G and a C. We have an A and a D, a B and an E. And then we remember B and C and E and F are the steps with no sharp or flat in between. So we have B, C, E, F in between. So that makes these ones our sharps, C sharp and F sharp. Okay, and then back at the 12th, we end up with our open string notes again, E and A. Okay, so the reason I say to start with the top 2 strings, it is handy to know these 1st fret ones as well, the F and the B flat. Okay, so the reason I say to start with the top 2 strings is because we can use what's called an octave pattern. So once we learn the major scale, you'll learn more about what octave means. But what it means is it's the same note up an octave, so it's higher. Once we go through a full scale, we end up with the same note as the 8th note, which is the 1. That's a little complicated at this stage, but you'll learn that soon when we look at major scale patterns. Okay, so for example, this is a G. If I want to know where a G is on my D string, then I look from this G here, I miss out a string and I miss out a fret. That's going to give me my octave pattern. So miss a string, miss a fret from my G, takes me down to this note here. So that's how I find a G on my D string. If I wanted a on my G string, I could see that is an open string there, so I miss the 1st fret and miss that string, and I end up with an A there. Even though an A is kind of easy to find because it's just one tone up from the G, but that's the pattern we can use. And on the bass guitar, that works anywhere on the neck. That pattern never changes. So, as well as some other patterns that we'll look at later, but everything is fixed in place. It doesn't move. So, unless we change tuning or something like that, which is much further down the track, but this pattern is always going to work. So, this note here being a C, miss a string, miss a fret, and I'm going to get another C here. Okay, so there is something that you can go ahead and do, fill all those out and start to memorize where those notes all are. So as we go on and we talk about notes and notes positions, you're going to know where to find those. This is something that you can do even if you haven't bought yourself a bass guitar yet. Remember to download this one as well. It's all free, just download it, print it off, whatever. Just so that you have that there as a reference, so you make sure that you're not getting stuck somewhere.